Bert I. Gordon's Tormented may not be as well known as some of his bigger Wink movies. I say bigger because he made a career out of these literally giant spectacle movies featuring giants. I'm thinking of The Spider, I'm thinking of The Amazing Colossal Man, The Cyclops, my personal favorite, Village of the Giants, which is basically a teen beach movie with giant kids. It's a rock and roll movie too. There's a review for it at CerealAtMidnite.com. But he also made other kinds of movies like Tormented, which is more of it would be misleading to call it psychological, but it is more of that than a giant spectacle movie. The plot, in brief, is that our main character, played by Richard Carlson, is a jazz musician who has lived this wild night life. He's been with this woman named Vi, who is really a party girl. And he's now going into a more respectable area. He's now engaged to this younger girl who is part of the suburbs, part of the beachside community. By the way, this movie is 1960, filmed in Malibu, filmed in to Channel Islands. So if you love that mid-century California coast thing, that's here in spades with a jazz score. Some of which comes from House on Haunted Hill, by the way. It's repurposed. So at the beginning of the movie, Vi is like, you're not leaving me for this other woman. They're having an argument at this lighthouse. You're not leaving me for this other woman. And then she's going to blackmail him. And she ends up falling off the lighthouse and dying. And he could have saved her, but he didn't. And then through the rest of the movie, he is tormented by her specter. And the question is, so you can take this in, this is one of the things I appreciate about this movie. Because these movies are often criticized as being simple and base and at best juvenile, at worst dangerous to the American youth. I think of Matinee and all of the stuff that the William Castle analog in that character that he had to deal with. There's a real argument to be made here. This is one of the things I love about it, is like, is this even happening, or is this just his guilty conscience manifesting this threat of a specter, manifesting this ghost, because he basically is responsible for the death of someone, and it didn't have to happen. He could have saved her. He didn't. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. There's a lot of rich themes here. The movie is pretty good, considering its budget, considering the pedigree of film that we're talking about here. This is Bert I. Gordon building his technical prowess by doing. This is something that comes out in the documentary from Ballyhoo, which we're going to talk more about in a second, but that Bert I. Gordon really learned by doing, and every movie was a little bit more accomplished than the one before it. So this is a fairly low-budget movie. It's a family affair. Bert I. Gordon came up with the story. He did not write the screenplay, but he came up with the story. He directed the movie. His wife, Flora, is involved with some of the on-screen stuff, some of the effects, and his daughter, Susan Gordon, a child actor that a lot of us know from many things during this time. So it's kind of a family affair, but the special effects are so much better than you would ever expect them to be, or really that they have any right to be. There's a scene where he's holding the severed head of Vi, and it looks so good. I mean, you don't see any seams or anything. It's just really, really well done. You don't expect that level of competency for a movie from this era with this budget. So this is Filmmasters just knocking it out of the park again. By the way, check out my interview with Filmmasters. Before they even put out their first release, I talked to the founder of the company, and we got the whole scoop. Everything you want to know is in that interview. I'm really proud of that interview. I'm glad that I got to do that. And I love what these guys do. Every single release is just solid all across the board. They are doing incredible work, like giving a 4K restoration to Tormented, to this mid-century, this 1960 B-movie, this jazz suspense horror thriller about a guy being haunted by his ex. It's incredible. It's wonderful. So we got 4K restoration rights. There's the Mystery Science Theater 3000 presentation of this for those that are into it. People ask me about this from time to time. I'm glad it's here because it exists. It should be here. Mystery Science Theater was great in the 90s. The further we get from that, people seem incapable of watching a movie without snark now, with watching a movie like this without snark. And that is to their detriment, because there's a lot here that is picked up on by, I'll even mention it, there's a visual essay by the Flying McKeestay brothers, which is Howard S. Berger and Kevin Marr. That's their professional name when they collaborate, as the Flying McKeestay brothers. And they read way into the themes of this movie in a very literate, very academic way. And I want to tell you, it's a great read of the movie that I think more people should be paying attention to, because as someone who has seen these movies maligned and dismissed and made fun of for decades now, when you can dig into the idea, okay, here's a movie about a guy at the crossroads of his life. He is trying to turn his back on a wilder lifestyle and move into a more adult, responsible era of his life, but he's having a hard time doing that. It's about a lot of things. It's about growing up, it's about responsibility, but it's also about the darkness within and how he's not doing a good job of pushing down that darkness. There's so much here for those that are willing to look. And I love that. I love that academic approach that reads into the themes of a movie beyond what we're just the base blank reading of what's on screen. I love the idea of looking at, well, what does this mean? Why is this here? Because there are themes that the screenplay contains, and it's better for it. There's an interview. This is a Ballyhoo-produced interview. Bert I. Gordon, the amazing colossal filmmaker. It's like 8 minutes, about an 8-minute interview with Bert I. Gordon, but it's good. The real bell and whistle here, the main attraction for me, is a 40-minute documentary about Bert I. Gordon. Bigger than life. Bert I. Gordon and the 1950s. In the 1950s and the 1960s, a Ballyhoo motion picture documentary featuring C. Courtney Joyner. Now listen, I love Ballyhoo. I think Ballyhoo is one of the best feature producers in the biz. Daniel Griffith, the guy that makes Ballyhoo, is Daniel Griffith. He's been here twice, talking about how he approaches things. He's the guy behind the incredible Waterworld documentary that's on the Arrow Blu-ray and 4K release for that. The incredible Carolco documentary that's on the Total Recall 4K. Really deep, wonderful special features. And C. Courtney Joyner has been on this channel multiple times. We've talked a lot. He's a good friend of mine, and I have such respect for him. This is a career-spanning look at Bert I. Gordon, and it is worth the cost of admission here. But there's more. We've got a 1961 unreleased TV pilot of famous ghost stories featuring Vincent Price. So Bert I. Gordon wanted to bring some of his ideas to TV, so he repackages Tormented in a cut-down version with a new introduction and an outro by Vincent Price. So for all the Price collectors out there, now you have like rare vintage Price on disc. And this series didn't really go anywhere, but it could have, and it's cool that it's included here. The original raw 35mm trailer scanned in 4K and the 2024 recut trailer, both of which are very cool. Full commentary track by Gary Rhodes with guest Larry Blameyer. Incredible stuff. And then a full color booklet insert with here. This is a good place to talk about the insert. So this is a loaded book. We've got an essay by Tom Weaver, who is, one of the kings of the Monster Kids. And we've got another by John Woolley on Tormented star Susan Gordon, who actually died before her father. Her father Bert I. Gordon lived to be 100. In fact, he just died last year, I think. So this is a loaded booklet. This is 23, let's see. We've got 22 pages of text here. Wonderful stuff. Film Masters continues to be really one of my favorites because they make these movies that have never been respectable, see? And they tap the brightest and the best from the Monster Kid community to add the value to these releases with the special features. I just came away from this movie with an appreciation like I've never had before. Part of it is the restoration because you get to see it as intended. Part of it is because of the elevated look at the material. But again, if you're not into that, there's the MST3K thing. I think I'm hitting that too hard, but I gotta be me, right? Tormented is available right now. There's going to be a link in the description of this video where you can order it. If you use that link, you're supporting Cereal at Midnight. Furthermore, anything that you order through that link, you're supporting Cereal at Midnight. So it doesn't just have to be Tormented. It can be anything. That's one way you can support Cereal at Midnight. Another way is to give thumbs ups, to subscribe so you never miss a review like this. I'm leaning hard into focused, dedicated reviews where we get into film, get into actual discussion about what we're watching, what we're buying. It's not just this came out. We're talking about what's on the disc and why we love it. So to support that, subscribe because I don't want you to miss it. I want you to be part of that conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Till next time, I will catch you later.